So yeah, I do actually pretty much, enjoy Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. It is probably it's my second favorite Fantastic Four film next to the unreleased Roger Corman one, because I actually do kind of like the character stuff in this. It being about Reed Richards and Sue Storm deciding if do they really want this life after they get married, and the Silver Surfer stuff, the scenes with him, is really cool. And looking back, I mean, with Marvel casting a woman to be the Silver Surfer, it is kind of cool we got a cool movie with the Silver Surfer, and the scenes with the Silver Surfer is really cool with, it being, Doug Jones, and then you have, Lawrence Fishburne as the voice. I think it's all pretty cool, even though this isn't really the best movie, but I still think some of the elements, again, are actually pretty fun, and overall, I mean, Marvel I wish make good Fantastic Four movies, make something better than the Roger Corman one, which I still like, but, try to actually, make a really good Fantastic Four movie with the money you guys have. But back to this film, I like all the stuff with the team. I find them more likable in this one. And I know the whole Galactus thing is a bit of a disappointment to some, but I don't know. Look, I can't really, I don't really have that much to say about this one. It's fun. It's nice and short. It's a fun, fantastic film. I can't really do it. Yeah, this is a lot higher than a lot of people would expect on a list like this, because X-Men: The Last Stand, a film you either love or hate. I'm kind of just in the middle with this one, because I think, overall, I think it's actually, it's a watchably fun movie. It's never really boring. I think it was kind of dumb of Bryan Singer to just hold off on this one, to do Superman Returns, which really wasn't as good as this film. Just in qualities of watchability and stuff, Superman Returns didn't turn out that well. Yeah, this is a lot higher than a lot of people would expect on a list like this, because X-Men: The Last Stand, a film you either love or hate. I'm kind of just in the middle with this one, because I think, overall, I think it's actually, it's a watchably fun movie. It's never really boring. I think it was kind of dumb of Bryan Singer to just hold off on this one, to do Superman Returns, which really wasn't as good as this film. Just in qualities of watchability and stuff, Superman Returns didn't turn out that well. Also, Matthew Vaughn, who I think would have also made a better movie than what we got, sadly couldn't do it. But again, there are some good things, but I will admit, yeah, it fails at some parts, especially with the whole Phoenix thing, and also trying to juggle with Magneto's uprising. I don't know. It just that didn't really work out. They should have just made it more about I feel actually all the Cure stuff is very interesting. How they introduce the Cure while humans and the mutants, they're it's all kind of starting to come together with peace, but it's just not working out. That stuff was interesting, but then you throw in the Phoenix, which is also something a big part. It's just they should just pick and choose what to go with. And yeah, I think some stuff just doesn't feel answered with, just people die, if you have Professor X dies, but yet you have the post-credit scene, because I'm kind of confused if they were actually trying to even continue the X-Men series after this. But again, there are good things. I do like Kelsey Grammer as Beast. He was really great in this film. Even though I'm kind of disappointed though that Nightcrawler didn't come back, or we didn't get more Mystique in this. But it's very unfortunate. Also, they reduced Rogue a lot in this film. So, but again, it actually has some pretty fun action scenes, some like, you know, cool scenes with mutants, but overall, as like the big finale, not really. Like, it definitely leaves you a little hollow than like you feel like you saw like the end of a trilogy. So yeah, I think this is like everyone's ideal ranking when it comes to the least favorite of the Deadpool trilogy, and that is Deadpool 2, which I'm not the biggest fan of Deadpool 2. It's just, it's always been like, I don't know, I think like the first movie was just so breakthrough in a way when it came out, and then like when it came to the sequel, it just didn't feel like it really broke any new ground. It didn't really do anything new. And I think it really failed at the whole thing with Cable. Like, I don't think he's like in it as much, or like he doesn't have like enough scenes with him in Deadpool. So they kind of failed at that part. But overall, I'm very mixed on Deadpool 2. It's just not as good as Deadpool 1. But I do like some stuff. Like, I still like, you know, David Leitch, his look of the movie is pretty good. I do kind of like its use of like somewhat neon, and it's like its brighter look. I do kind of like that. Unlike Deadpool has a more like concrete, darker look. The X-Force stuff was kind of fun, but I do kind of like wish it was like they did more of that. But like the death scenes were fun, with, you know, Brad Pitt being one of them. That was kind of funny. But overall, it's just Deadpool 2 is just not as good as the first Deadpool, or the one that would follow it. X-Men 1. This has always been a movie that I've never been too big into as like a fan. But that is because I'm gonna tell you a little secret. I kind of first watched these X-Men movies starting at First Class, and then right to X-Men. Don't ever do that. No, I mean, look, X-Men First Class, I think, X-Men still like has stuff, you know, that is like good. Like, this was 3 years after Batman and Robin, and it really does a great job at like, you know, taking note from that movie and deciding to do the opposite and have everything, you know, take everything seriously, make the bad guy kind of like a serious threat, or like, you know, a bad guy, you know, with motives and like a good reason of why he's actually evil, and like having a character that, you know, a bad guy that just shouts ice puns all the time, you know, give characters depth, all of that stuff. And even though I want to say not be cheesy, but at the same time there are a lot of obviously cheesy moments with, you know, the whole Storm thing, but you gotta, like, you know, when you look back, it's like this was like the studio making a comic book movie, like, you know, that you know, took itself seriously a bit, but also, you know, had to have fun. And also, even as like a first X-Men movie, they knew they had to like not have like too much, but also have like too little. And I think the movie actually does like a pretty good job at like balancing the amount of like how much villains, like, you know, they're having, like, you know, heroes and characters overall. I think actually it's like a good balance a bit, even though like I know the whole Jean Grey stuff is mostly like stuff that Beast would have done in the comics, but you know, overall, you know, they had like a short amount of money to do this film yet. They weren't really ready to do a lot of the crazy stuff, and it all really works in this movie. And it's an important film that must always be remembered. So yeah, Logan is not my number one. This was my only second time viewing this movie, because I didn't see it when it came out, and I hadn't seen it until actually last year when Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny came out, because, you know, it was James Mangold directing a film about like a classic hero character going old, so I decided to watch the other film that he made before that about an old hero getting old and plus dying in this one. And I thought it was pretty good, and I still think it's pretty good. Like, I think it's a little overhyped. People do think, like, you know, it's like on the level of The Dark Knight, which it's totally not, because, like, one, the villains aren't that great. Like, they're generic science people. I mean, like the whole thing, the Wolverine clone was like a cool idea, but I mean, look, it just didn't really work. But I do like some things about it. I think Patrick Stewart gets to like really act in this one, because I mean, look, I know like when he was like cast, it was like the ideal casting at the time, but at the same time though, it just kind of felt like he was just there just because he kind of like looked the part and just sounded the part. Like they didn't really, but I don't know if they really like did anything for him. So, but in this one, he really gets to act and he's great. Daphne Keane is also really good for a child actor in a film like this. She's really good, and Hugh Jackman's also just like really pulling his heart out with this film, and that's all I can really say. Like, it's a movie that's got good things, but I'm never really like hugely into it. Like, and I know, like, again, it has its fans because it's R-rated, and we finally got like an R-rated Logan movie, but at the same time though, it's not really like, it's not even really like the action's not even like cool for the most part. It's just him like it feels more sad. It's just doesn't really, I don't know, just didn't want an R-rated Wolverine movie like this. So I know it's inspired by a comic, that's like Wolverine in the future, but didn't really work for me in this one. It has its good moments though. Just again, I don't think it's as good as everyone says it. This is another one that that's gonna leave a lot of your head scratching, because I have this one like also pretty low. And look, I do like this movie for the most part, but the thing is, this does have like the Alien 3 problem, where it kind of kills off characters that I liked from First Class, and not really just. And I mean, I know like to keep Havoc around, but like I wish at least he was in the movie more, instead of just like being in Vietnam and then escaping Nam. Like that part, I'm just like, I wish, like, because at least my bigger issue is that so look, like, I know it's called an X-Men movie, and there's like, and you have the X-Men in the future battle the Sentinels, but in the past I wish like they also had the X-Men get together, because like, and like, wouldn't it be cooler if it were like at the end, you had like, you had Logan, you have the Professor X, you have Beast, and then you can have Quicksilver come back, because like they just, like, why don't they ever bring him back, and then like bring Havoc back, maybe even Banshee, you can bring him back from, maybe Angel you can bring back, they could all fight the Sentinels at the end at the stadium. That would have been cool. But I mean, look, like that's my big issue, but all the other stuff I think is pretty good, and I think, as I said before, from like Apocalypse, like a movie that's just, again, it's something about a bunch of shit, and it's just like a generic story about a bad guy who wants to blow up the world. This one was different because it was like, like actual problems, and like dealing with like, with it basically just being like a rip-off of T2, and actually doing it right, because it is because it does feel like a movie where like people like have like a like an arc, and like, you really feel like they're different people at the end. Professor X went from a person who lost his hope, which is very interesting to see, like Professor X like this, and now he has to like regain his hope and his like his personality of who he was, and restart the X-Men after this. All that stuff was interesting, but then and you have, and then, you have all the stuff with like Raven, with her deciding if will she continue doing what she did. It's overall, I think all of it's interesting. Trask is an interesting character, of him being like probably like a person who's obviously like a little person in his life and probably faced discrimination himself, but he thinking like mutants are like, is like a way for regular humans to like actually bond together and put down their differences to fight against something else. That's kind of like an interesting for like a villain. So that's why I think this movie feels more smart and more interesting than like other stuff in other X-Men movies before this. So that's why I do give this a leg up for it having interesting things, nice moments, with like Hugh Jackman working off of James McAvoy and Nicholas Hoult. And then the scene with, Patrick Stewart and James McAvoy meeting, that scene is handled well. A lot of this in the movie, like a lot of stuff is handled really well, and it does have fun action scenes. It's a well-rounded, fun X-Men movie, but I wish it would have been tweaked a bit. But I must note, I did not watch the Rogue cut. Alright, so now I can finally talk about what was considered the most anticipated film of the year. Yeah, it pretty much was the anticipated film of the year because it was, I really enjoyed it. A lot of people are kind of like giving it shit because it's a dumb meta comedy blockbuster, but then it's like, did any of you see the last two Deadpool movies? And also, like, again, I hate people saying that this is like, oh, this is like another MCU movie. Not really. It's a Deadpool movie. To me, like, the Deadpool movies are different. They're separate from the X-Men and Avengers altogether. It's just, to me, like a Deadpool movie is a Deadpool movie. It's just it's a superhero who makes a lot of quips. And this one, look, I had a lot of fun with this one. I like all the fun references. Some of the stuff was cool, and seeing stuff, stuff from Loki was fun. The whole scene of Deadpool going through all the different universes, checking out like the different Wolverine variants, where you see one with Hugh Jackman literally as comic accurate sized Wolverine was the funniest part of the movie. Not, don't make that as like a sign like the movie isn't that funny. That, I just thought that was like the thing that made me crack up the most. And then Henry Cavill as Wolverine variant was awesome to see, even though it was like for 5 seconds, but still, that was cool. Even though the Hulk one was a little disappointing. But the whole like Deadpool buddy cop thing with Wolverine, that was actually like really fun to watch and to see them fight. The whole, I forgot the name of the place, but the whole, the void, the end of time, that's what it is, from Loki. Seeing more of because one of my favorite episode of Loki is the Loki episode when Loki, as at the end of the time, with the Richard E. Grant comic accurate Loki and the crocodile Loki and the kid Loki. I thought that one, that's my favorite episode of Loki, and basically this Deadpool movie is like that episode, but with Deadpool and other Fox characters. That was so cool to me, and just the scene of this whole gang of X-Men characters. You had Lady Deathstrike, Zazel, Pyro, and Toad, and you had Tyler Mane's Sabretooth for 5 seconds. That was a little disappointing that he got killed off like that. And it's like Mad Max, that's awesome, and I feel like people don't give a shit. It's this is cool shit. And then then you also have Johnny Storm, you have Chris Evans coming back as Human Torch, and then you have Jennifer Garner. Well, I didn't really care for the idea of Jennifer Garner coming back as Elektra, but the idea of her, and you also have then you have Channing Tatum as Gambit. That was kind of cool because because he was supposed to be Gambit, so that was kind of fun. Even though I actually in the theater, I thought they would have done Taylor Kitsch. They would have brought him back because I would have gone to the thing where no one cares. Wesley Snipes as Blade, even though I've never seen Blade. The scene was very fun though, with him saying the line from the first one, which I haven't seen, but I know the line obviously. I do wish there was other Fox characters. Maybe they should have. I would have maybe even they brought one of the Thing actors, either Michael Chiklis or Jamie Bell. Maybe it would have been fun if the biggest one I wish they actually had brought back was Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler. That I wish they did, but they didn't. So that was the biggest blow to the film in my opinion. And I liked the Cassandra Nova character as the villain. I thought she was great. The actress did great. Matthew McFadden as Mr. Paradox. That was fun. Overall, I had a lot of fun with this movie. All of it was fun. So yeah, I really do like the first Deadpool movie. It's really funny. The action is great. All by Tim Tim Miller, which I think this was his like first movie, and Ryan Reynolds as his like actual first outing as Deadpool, not counting Origins, is really great as as just Deadpool in his first outing overall. He's really good. The jokes are all funny, and I think all the side characters I really gotta mention are really funny. I really do like. I know he's like not controversial, but T.J. Miller is actually really funny in this. I like, and I also like the cab driver. I like Colossus, and like his trainee. All that stuff is fun. I like the actor, who plays Francis. He's really good. I sorry to see that he was in that Zack Snyder Rebel Moon thing. And Gina Carano, well, look, she looks cool. It's overall like Deadpool. I just think it is very fun, and it kind of works. And at the same time, though, I personally think Deadpool just works as one movie. Or like if you are gonna do something with Deadpool, then I want something like Deadpool and Wolverine, which is more like experimental. Or just even crazier. So, because like I think Deadpool as like a standard origin story with a more parody comedic flair to it, it works, and it's great. So yeah, X2 is just an excellent sequel to X-Men that does pretty much I think like everything right with. Just exploring more of like the characters, showing having more characters, and having like an actual new villain, but still having Magneto in it in a smart way. That's like it still works, and because in the other movies they replace Magneto as like the villain with someone that's less boring, but here it actually works because it's Brian Cox as William Stryker, and he's like amazing in this movie. There's probably like if he might be my favorite X-Men villain in the series, like even over Magneto. That's how much I really like his villainous character, and it's just overall like it's just I think it's just all cool. The action is just. And this is mostly all cool, the Nightcrawler scene in the White House, and you got Wolverine scene in the mansion. And the emotions of it are so high, and it's like it does a great job at just like wanting like actually having you want more, like making you more excited for what's to come, even though it's more disappointing. And it's just like it's a movie, and it's just a movie overall that feels more human. The characters, they feel real. You really feel like they're just, they're actually people. And that's what I think just makes this film really, really work, is just the characters, the action, and the story itself, which is just such a great story that has like, that does the smart choice of like actually having the X-Men fight humans for once. And so it was the smart idea of how to take, the next step in X-Men, for an X-Men sequel. And it is my second favorite X-Men movie. But at the same time, this and my next one, it's pretty hard to just say like which one I like more, but I think I'll explain why I like the next one a little more. So yeah, X-Men First Class is my favorite of the Fox Marvel films that were made, and my favorite X-Men movie, period. To me, I just think Matthew Vaughn really made the best X-Men film here. And I'm so mad though that like he really Fox didn't let him like keep making the X-Men movies, because I think I could be wrong, but I think he wanted to do Apocalypse first, then do Days of Future Past, but Fox said no. And I think Matthew Vaughn, I think he's more into like pulp comic book stuff more than Bryan Singer. And Brett Ratner is more of a yes man, and overall Matthew Vaughn is not a guy who has who's not like an asshole who has like legal issues. So that's like the more I should give more, Matthew Vaughn more credit. Even though no one really liked Argyle. But I never saw Argyle, so I can't really say. But I like Matthew Vaughn, and this is my favorite film from him. This movie just works because I think the characters are all great. They're well depth, and what I really love more though is that you feel like it's an actual X-Men movie, because there are some issues with the X-Men movies that it's always about like Wolverine sometimes. Or like, it's just like you never get enough time spent with the X-Men training or hanging out. This one, you get all these scenes of the X-Men together, working on their powers, getting better. And this movie, it obviously has like a very tragic ending, and the tragic ending, if anything, makes all the scenes before it more like warmful to watch. It's just I just love this movie, and I just love all the performances from James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender. They're, like I said before, you really love seeing their friendship and seeing them work together, and you love seeing all the scenes of Magneto trying to like overcome his powers, and it's all great, and and again, it makes you sad at the end. And Jennifer Lawrence is also really good in this, and the makeup was good because they actually used Rebecca Romijn's makeup from the previous 3 films. And then she stopped caring, but you can tell she cares in this one. And Kevin Bacon is just amazing as the villain. I know I said I like Brian Cox, which I kind of do like a little more, but I also still gotta mention Sebastian, Shaw's character, who is just the most like evil mutant, probably even more evil than Magneto. And I just love this film overall. Everything about it is just fun. It's fast paced. It's quippy. It's very pulp-like, but yet it definitely has a lot of heart to it. And I just overall wish Matthew Vaughn, directed, the other X-Men movies after this. And, but I hope overall Marvel will take this film into consideration as how they should actually make their further X-Men. Thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. I hope you really liked it. This video that I've been wanting to make forever. And overall, it's kind of sad that this all kind of had to end. But at the same time, though, we all really just wanted to see the X-Men and Fantastic Four team up with Marvel, years ago. But at the same time, looking back, it's a little too late now for anyone to really be excited, I think, because it's how Marvel turns out. And I still want to see the new Fantastic Four movie, but I just think all the stuff that I'm hearing is that, they're bringing Robert Downey Jr. back as Dr. Doom, which is stupid. They're going to have, Silver Surfer's going to be a woman, which I'm like, Pedro Pascal as Mr. Reed Richards, not really something I'm excited for, but I think that's just because he's in everything these days, and I really wish they did the whole thing with John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. And but I mean, Ralph Ineson as Galactus, I think that will be kind of fun. But overall, I do want Marvel to do these characters well, but it does seem like they're gonna do a weird thing where they're gonna be crossing the characters over. But I wish they just leave it at that, and even Deadpool Wolverine, I think, gives a really good, nice somber video during the credits as a montage of all the Fox Marvel characters. And it's a very bittersweet. I really liked it. So overall, it's nice to look back at these movies and see how far we've come, and maybe what can we still take, what could we still learn from them. So overall, Marvel, please, do a good job with these characters. Don't ruin them. And thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. If you liked it, subscribe, and look out for another ranking of another Fox franchise that is very popular.